In this video, I'm gonna show you a reel that doesn't suck, but it's upside down. Stay tuned. Isn't it nice when you're pleasantly amused because something doesn't suck? Like, your bar is so low that you're like, dude, if this doesn't suck, it's a thumbs up, it's a success. So that's what we're gonna do today. I found a reel that I actually really like. We're gonna do a little reel review for all you guys that are stuck at home and can't fish and that. And I'm stoked about it because I'm super cheap. I don't like spending a bunch of money, but I like to get halfway quality stuff that lasts, and that's exactly what we're gonna talk about. So sit back, hit that like and subscribe button, and let's do this review. Any of you guys who have watched the videos know one thing about me. Actually, you probably know a lot of things about me, things that you probably shouldn't know, but the one thing that kind of like has threaded throughout all the fishing I've ever done is I'm super cheap, and I'm always trying to cut corners. And I think all of us as like budget anglers, weekend anglers, like we want the best stuff, but the reality is, and especially dude with all this like economy stuff going on, like you can't have the best stuff. And really, it's not even smart to buy the best stuff because you really don't need it. You need stuff that's decent, that'll get you through the day, that'll catch some fish, and that'll hold up for a couple years and do what it's supposed to do. And that's why I was kind of fired up when I found this reel. This reel doesn't suck. And as you guys know, now that the cat's out of the box, it is a Shimano SLX 150 HG. I've always been a fan of Shimano. I'm not a fan of Shimano's price points. I'm not a fan of Shimano's warranty service. I'm not a fan of Shimano's changing of their product line a lot of times. So a lot going against this review initially. But I am a fan of this. I have really tried to find budget bait casters. We've talked about it in the past. Spinning reels, dude, you can buy, as long as you're not fishing like 4 to say 6 pound tests, catching like giant smallies or giant spots, like you can buy a $25, $30 spinning reel and you're golden, dude. It's probably gonna break after a while, but really you don't need to spend a huge amount of money on spinning reels. You can, like a Stratic, awesome reels, but you don't need to. Bait casters, on the other hand, we tend to do flipping, pitching, we tend to use braid with them. They take more of a beating, just, stopping the spool. There's a lot of just grindy stuff going on. And in reality, they need to take a beating. And the problem I've found is I've tried some of like the Amazon, like Chinese stuff. I've tried some other kind of $100, $80 price range, even some like $120 price range stuff off of Tackle Warehouse. And as you can see, I have an array of reels. Some of them have been decent, some are so-so. Some, the problem I've run into the most actually, and dude, I don't hate Lose, don't get me wrong, I actually like my Lose products, but I've got a bunch of the speed spools. They're pretty decent for the price point, but they're very variable. So you'll get one out of the box and it's like golden, dude. Like it's like $150, $175 reel. The brake works perfect. I'll get another one out of the box, and like no matter how much I turn on the brake, like it always like over spools. Like it'll backlash, and maybe that's my fault. But there's just variability in it. So I've really struggled to find something that's an affordable price point because I want like 6 of them. As you can see, I'm like a rod collector, dude. I got 37 rods on my deck, and I'd like to have the same or a very comparable reel for each one. It just makes me fish smoother. That way when you pick up another reel, it doesn't feel like a totally different world. When you're casting, you don't like backlash the first time because you have to treat it differently. So what I tried was this guy. It's a Shimano SLX 150 HG. I'll unbox this one. I don't have it spooled up, so I actually have one here, and then I got another one hiding somewhere. I think it's back there. So I actually bought 3 of them. I bought 2, I bought 1, tried it out, liked it, bought another 2, and so I haven't gotten this one all spooled up yet. It's been kind of sitting around because we're in this transition kind of with spring and stuff like that. I don't exactly know what I want to put on it line-wise. So this is the reel right here though. It reminds me a lot of just like the Curado style, the palmable reels. Dude, it's super streamlined, super palmable. I'm gonna throw the thing I like about it the most out right off the bat. It feels solid. If you guys remember my old greens, Curado 200 E7s, these guys, rock solid, boy. I've burned a few of them out, dude, but it takes like 4 or 5 years and like 65-pound braid, a lot of mat flipping and like dragging fish out of the grass. But what's amazing about this reel, it has a $100 price point. I'll put a link to it down in Tackle Warehouse down in the description box. But dude, out of the box, it feels solid. When like you engage the reel, like it locks in. It's not like tink, and you don't need to like, some of the cheap reels, dude, you end up having to thumb up the thumb bar and stuff like that. It feels super solid. On that same note, so the first applications, I don't know if I put the video up, but I've been catching a lot of topwater fish, and in particular fish on a buzzbait right here, and I've been throwing it on 40-pound braid. So my biggest testing point, other than say flipping mats or like fishing like the hayfields or like topwater frog and super thick stuff, is just putting braid on these bait casters. Because when you put braid on them and you hang stuff, you rip baits out of, I've been ripping that buzz bait out of like trees and stuff. Like I'll get it hung and I'll pry it out. I've also been catching a lot of fish on top in cover, and I've had to drag them in. And when you do that, you're putting the most stress on the reel that you possibly can. And it survived. I've had it for I think about a month now, and it hasn't slipped at all. When I've engaged after I've caught a bunch of fish, I haven't had it, I don't know, like the what do you call it, the drag washer and that. I haven't had the spool skip, like where it clicks and stuff like that. It's felt solid. I don't get any kind of like whiny kind of sounds from the bearings. Basically, I've put it through the grinder and it's still going just like it did right out of the box. I'm not saying that's going to happen 8 months from now, a year from now, but it feels like a reel that can last. So let's run through the specs on it real quick. It's pretty standard Shimano stuff. I bought the 721s, so that's like a higher speed but not super duper speed. I use it basically for almost all my applications. The only exception when I go down to a 621 is going to be, say, cranking. That's probably the most important one. And then maybe if I'm throwing like a big swim bait, or I really got to slow myself down, I'll go down to a 621, but rarely will I go any lower than that. And honestly, the 821 to me is too fast to reel. So I like that 721 because I can flip with it. I can drag a worm and pick up a bunch of line. But if I wanted to go and put, say, a swim bait on that same rod with that reel, that 721, I can actually slow down enough where I'm getting the correct action out of the bait. And that's important. I want, like I said, versatility, and I want to have a bunch of reels, but I want them to do a million different things. I don't want them super specific. That's what my rods are for. So the other specs on it that are pretty general Shimano, it's a 3+1 roller ball bearing. So the weird thing with Shimano, if you look at some of the other reel companies, they're all like 27 ball bearings, 7,429 to the exponential 2 ball bearings. A lot of ball bearings. So the weird thing with Shimano, and it's really consistent across all their products, their higher end stuff, you get more ball bearings, but for some reason they always have a very low, in comparison to other companies, amount of ball bearings, but they cast 1 million freaking miles, dude. So like, I don't know what it is, so don't let the amount of ball bearings kind of shade you away. They still are super smooth, and dude, I can slang that buzz bait freaking like a good like 30-yard pass kind of thing. So we talked about a bunch of positives. I want to throw a negative out there, and this is a pet peeve that I have, and this is where if I do use this reel for flipping some heavier cover, I might see a problem, and that comes with the base of the reel. So the entire reel is like that composite-y kind of plasticky stuff. And like I said, it's super solid. It doesn't feel like a plasticky reel, but this base right here, I'm 99% sure that is that plastic composite, black stuff. I don't know, like the super strong plastic. I've had issues with reels like these when I've tried to flip with them, that they get so much pressure on those tabs that are actually inserted into the rod lock, like the screw down on the rod, that you actually break the reel out. It happens mostly like say we're buzzing like a big easy over a grass flat, or you're flipping mats, when you're just putting an extreme amount of pressure, braid, everything, like super heavy flipping stick, and you put all that pressure, those tabs tend to break off. So that's my only concern as of now. And then the other thing too is the Shimano stuff doesn't come greased, so it comes basically greased, but when you get it, you're going to want to pop it open and put some oil on it. The nice part is, let me show you in this package, these jokers come with a little bottle of oil. You're going to need to get some grease, but they come with a bottle of oil right there, so you can get right after it, get them oiled at least if you don't have any grease around, and kind of get them rolling. And I'd highly recommend you doing that. It's going to keep more life in the reel, and it's going to make it run smoother for longer. So that kind of caps the review. I would highly recommend this reel. Now, I did tell you guys I do want to try the Daiwa. Daiwa has a comparable reel. I forget what it is. I'll put that one down in the description box as well. But it's like a $100 price point. And my buddy, Byron Childers, he works for Missile Baits. He actually throws them quite a bit, and he highly recommended them. So they're solid reels. So I'm going to take a look at those and do a little bit of a comparison. But just basic kind of review analysis, This reel is pretty awesome, dude. And it's a $100 price point. Like I said, I bought 3 of them. I probably shouldn't have, because now we're like coronavirus economy and I should have saved my money, but I got 3, super pleased with them. And I've run braid on 2 of them for a month. And I think that tells me enough that they're gonna last at least like probably 2 years. Because basically my other experiences with these cheaper reels is they last like 9 months, dude, and they're fried. So the last thing I wanna show you, and this is gonna kind of modify this from a review video to a tip video. So these jokers come with a brake system, but it's not a knob like you find on many of your other reels. Basically what you do is you flip this little switch right here down, and then it pops the reel off. Here's a trick, and I found this in a forum because I couldn't figure out how to get, watch this. So I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna try to close this joker. Oh, it still closes. But what happens is when you tighten your spool knob, and then you pop it open, so boom, and then I try to close it back up. See that? She won't close. So I found this in a forum because I was like beside myself. I'm out on the lake. I got the thing open because I wanted to adjust the brakes. And the way you adjust the brakes is you simply push them down to turn them on, just like that. Or you push them up, where'd that one go? Like that, just to turn them off. But the problem that I found is I was screwing around with it because I wanted to make longer casts, and that's how you get your longer casts, and I could not get this thing back on. So a note, if you ever play with the brake and you can't get that side plate back on, what you need to do is loosen your spool knob, and loosen it quite a bit. Sometimes too, if you have the drag all the way cranked down, you're gonna have to loosen the drag up as well. For some reason, and I don't know reel mechanics, but that tightens up, I don't know, it changes the way like the dimensions are, and you can't get the joker locked in. So now we've loosened everything up, we're super duper loose. I'm gonna pop that thing on, and she slides right in and locks in. Something to remember, and I think that applies on all Shimano reels that have centrifugal brakes that are not a knob, but where you have to actually go and, you know, flip up the switches, each individual one, or where the side plate comes off like that. So that's a quick tip, but like I said, overall, I'd give this joker 4 to 5 stars, and that's taking into account price point as well as quality. It feels super solid, only concern are these tabs, but I'll put a link to it down in the description box. If you guys got any feedback on these, if you've run these SLX, this is the cheaper one, not with the chip, because I want to just be cheap and buy a bunch of reels. But if you guys got any feedback or tips or have had these, drop your feedback down in the comments. I like always when people are sharing their perspective and what they know. And like I said, I'm only about a month and a couple weeks in, so I haven't had them for a year, haven't given them the long duration test, but thus far, super solid. These reels don't suck. Well, this would not be a legit mikeybalzz video if we didn't say hi to Bog. How you feeling in that life jacket? Yeah, did we catch a few fish today? We did. I don't know if they're gonna make a video. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel. Stay safe during all this bullshit. I hope that doesn't, I should probably bleep that out. But stay safe, dude. All this craziness, all this panic. Take a deep breath, think fishing, watch fishing, go fishing. We'll talk to you next time, whether it's fishing, whether it's fucking baits, reels, tackle, techniques, whatever. Keep it tight till then, boys. Peace.
Yeah.